Yep. And then after that, I did. This was again. We hiked with the Izzos, but this one was with Bill and Sandy. So Sandy is the mom of all of the other Izzos, and Bill is the father. So we hiked with them. We went in. It was Rhiannon, myself, and Bill and Sandy. We went in from the Seward Range. We went up to Blueberry Lean-To, and I packed a big pack that day. We were going to camp.
Okay.
And I usually, Rhiannon, I told her when she started hiking that I would carry everything. And this was back 4 years ago. It's like, if you're going to do these peaks, I want you to do them, but you don't have to worry about carrying stuff. If you can carry your water and your camel pack, I'll carry everything else. So I don't know how much it weighed, but it was a very heavy pack that day. So it took us a while to get into the Blueberry Lean-To. We did that, dropped our stuff off. We met some great people there that had been following me. And then we went up the Seward Range, but from that side. It's not Calkins Brook, it's the other one.
Sure.
Which is
up the Seward Trail.
Yeah, up the Seward Trail, which is it's a pretty good feat to go up that.
It's very steep.
It is. It was steep, and we did, went all the way out to Emmons and then came all the way back down to the Lean-To. We finished in the dark. Got down, slept a night at the camp, which we had a great fire. It was a beautiful night. Then it started to rain, and Rhiannon and I got up and did Seymour the next morning. We had brought our dogs that day, so Bill and Sandy were nice enough to take the dogs and keep them at the Lean-To. They didn't want to go and do Seymour along with us, so they stayed back at the Lean-To, kept the dogs. This way it made us a little faster. We got up in the morning and hit Seymour. And then after that, came back down and walked ourselves back out. And after that, I was like, okay, I've got this. Now at that point, like,
you must be in your 30s at this point.
I was. So I was. That was no. Yeah, it was 36 to 39.
Okay, yeah, you're even almost at 40.
Yeah, 36 to
Awesome.
39 at that point. And then the next one we did. Okay, that was when James and I did Colden and Marshall. That was the one I was talking about. It was really rainy and cold. That was probably the most mentally tough one we did. And I think it was more condition-wise. Also, conditions of the temperature, because it was cold, the rain, just everything about it. It was the most mentally tough one I did. And also, I had been hiking, a lot before this, so I was a little fatigued. And it was kind of at that point where you're not right there, but you're far enough that you've gone that far where it's like, I know it's right there, but I'm not there enough to like get that adrenaline, like I'm almost done. It's kind of like that lull. But we did a good job that day. We made a mistake going down. We went up Marshall from like the Upper Work side. I don't remember what brook that is there. The one you normally go up.
Up Marshall, there's the
Cold Brook one, and then there's the other one.
Herbert Brook?
Yeah.
Herbert Brook
The
Trail?
Herbert one or whatever. The one that's not Cold Brook is way easier.
Sure.
So we went up that one, flew up it, and it was actually raining that day. That was kind of cool, though. It was water coming down the whole slabs, and we were walking up it. Like, you wouldn't be able to do this with boots. Like, we were just running up through water. It was so cool. We made it to the top, and record speed, I think, for barefooting. We did really well. James and I both did really well. But then we decided to come down Coldbrook side because it gets you a little closer to Colden. That was a mistake. That took us like 2.5, 3 hours. It was just brutal. We should have gone down the other way and just taken a little bit of mileage. And that was probably at the point, though, like the time it was like the mentally hardest for me. It was just like, oh, this is really hard. I'm really not. It's not that I'm not enjoying it, but I need this to be done. And then we finally got down and we got to Colden, and then you go through Avalanche Lake, and who can't be happy at Avalanche Lake? I mean, you go through there and you see Trap Dyke and all of that. You can't be not happy. So that picked my spirits back up. But I think that was if there was a low point coming down Coldbrook, that was the point that was like, oh, boy, I really messed up, and I just got to get down, basically.
Sure.
So after that one, I think was Alan. I love Alan. Allen is one of my favorites.
It's an underrated high peak.
It really gets a bad rap.
And I don't know why it does. It has such a unique element and quality to it that I don't get why people... Yeah, there's not a lot of views at the top, but the hike itself is great.
But even if you go like that 5 yards from the top from the sign and you go forward, I mean, you have Skylight right there, sure, and Marcy and Haystack, which was cool because, coming up to Haystack and coming up to this journey was like, that's I'm coming for you. I've been waiting for you for a long time. I love Allen in that way, and I love how it's so unique to any of the other high peaks. It really is. It's you got to have this huge walk in, then you walk up this slimy brook, but you get to the top and it's like, wow, I'm in the middle of nowhere. This is so cool. That's what I love about Allen the most. So that was a great hike for me. I did that solo halfway, and I say halfway because I met a really great person. Her name is Liang at the top. I think she is finishing her 46 tomorrow,
cool,
or today. She's an incredible woman from New Jersey. She comes up here. She started hiking them last year, I believe, and we were at the top. We just started talking, and we got along so well. We were like, we want to finish the hike together, and that's what's so cool about hiking the Adirondacks, and that's what's so cool about hiking in general is the people you meet. You're so friendly. It's like if you were in New York City, right, and you're walking across the street, and someone wants to say hello to you, you almost look at them like, why are you talking to me? But when you're in the Adirondacks, it's like, hey, and it's like people want to talk. It's like, what's your story? And then you start talking. I told her my story. She told me hers, which hers is an incredible story, but I'll leave it to the trails because that's her business. And we walked down, and we started from the top of the Allen and all the way to the cars. And it's like, I don't even remember the time. Like, the conversation was so great. It was like all of a sudden I was back at the car. And I think that's the coolest thing about the experience of going hiking and the whole culture of it is the people you meet and the people that do this. The people that do this are awesome people. And I met a really cool person. She actually left me a cash. She made me some kimchi and just left it down at the Lodge Road for me. I just went and picked it up right now because she just finished Colden, and I think she's going down to the Lodge. I don't know what her last one's going to be, but she's finishing her last one tomorrow. So I just got that, and I wanted to tie that back into that. And so after Allen...
real quick before we move on to the next one.
We don't have to move on.
Real quick, I just want to continue with what you were saying. The camaraderie that exists amongst people that are all really trying to hike all of the high peaks. It's like these days it almost gets like a weird... People are upset that people are 46ing, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But it's such a challenge that anyone that's done it can appreciate another person who accomplishes that goal because everyone knows just how difficult it is. 46 mountains, it's a lot of mountains. And the thing is with Allen that you said, which I always say this too, nobody hikes Allen that isn't typically towards the end of their Adirondack High Peaks journey. For the most part, obviously, it's not always the case, but most people are towards the end, and they've already put in a lot of miles, and there's like a camaraderie with people you meet on Allen in particular.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The day that I hiked Allen, so it was raining. It was like what you would picture Allen, rainy and wet and just nasty day. I think I remember passing maybe 6-7 people for that whole day. And no joke, within 24 hours, I think I reconnected with 5 of them on the Backcountry page.
Wow.
Because it's like this person posted a picture here, and then I commented, and then like someone else commented, oh, I saw you guys here.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I like that personally. And,
I love that you're saying
Allen
that.
In particular.
I love that you're saying this right now, and you got me so excited that I'm interrupting you, and I'm sorry for doing that. The next day after I posted my Allen hike, there was a guy who hiked it the next day, and he posted on my thing. He's like, I saw your barefoot footprints. I thought it was Bigfoot, but I saw you like that. Yes. So that's what Allen does to you. Yeah, it really does. And I think that's the thing I loved most about this whole journey was the farther, the more, and I put myself out there a little bit. Like I did when I don't, like I said, I don't share myself that much. And when I did it that first time, I don't know what made me do it. Just kind of like, I don't know what made me put my boots on. But at the end, it was the best thing I could have done. Like, at first I had all that negative, coming up to it until it was, oh, maybe he actually does know what he's doing. And then afterward, it was all these cheerleaders. Like, everybody was so excited for me. And I was excited to inspire people. Actually, let me go back to this on Colvin and Blake. Colvin, Blake, Dial, Nipple Top, but it was between Colvin and Blake. I was coming down and I saw someone coming down barefoot. I was like, this is great. Like, I want to talk to this guy. He's like, yeah, wait, you're the real barefoot guy. I'm doing this because of what you're doing. He's like, I felt like, it was a wet, rainy day that we did. Well, it was wet and rainy in the morning. The afternoon was beautiful. But in that morning part, when we saw him, he was like, I didn't want to get my boots wet, so I just took my boots off like you do. And this is great. Like, I feel great doing it. And that is what drove me. Like, that's made me so excited about what's to come next with this whole thing. And I think, I don't even know. I'm not claiming the record on this. 9 weeks. I'm putting 9 weeks, 4 days out there because I don't know anybody else who's done it quicker. And I hope somebody does it quicker next year because I'm going to be working on the Northeast 115 next year. I'm going to finish that. That's my goal next year. We'll talk about that later. But going into the records thing, I want someone to beat me. I really do. Records are meant to be broken, and I want someone to experience the experience that I felt doing this. And once they beat me, I know then I'll have the next challenge because I know how fast I can do it. I'm not going to tell you, but I do know how fast I can.
So how you could have done it even faster.
Oh,
so you did it in 9 weeks. You said 9 weeks.
A little over 9 weeks.
Over 9 weeks. Ballpark, how many days a week were you on the trail?
I usually hiked Wednesdays and one day on the weekend. Sometimes I would hike 2 days on the weekend. Okay. So it was either 2 hikes or 3 hikes a week.
Sure. That makes sense.
I've done, let's see, I think it was 17 High Peaks pedicures. Yes, because Alan was 15. And then after Alan, this was the big day. This was the day that, honestly, the Basin Haystack day was probably, other than, actually, no, I was with my wife. So I'm going to say it was the best day of my life.
That's awesome.
I've been waiting for this since I've been 10 years old, since, I was reading that book and committed to myself that I was going to wait for my soulmate on that. And it was a Saturday. We did it a little different. And I like that I did it a little different. We have a friend that has a camp on the Upper Ausable Lake, and he agreed to meet us at the Lower Ausable Lake and take us with his boat to the Carry Trail. And the reason I wanted to do it that way is because if you go up Haystack that way, you can go. I think it's the Bartlett Ridge Trail. You take it up, and it's one of the only trails in the Adirondacks that reminds me of how I used to, and I don't want to put bad on it that people are hiking, because we talked that, like, I love seeing all these people out here hiking, and people complain like there's been 2.3 miles bumper to bumper traffic on the Lodge Road, and yes, I get that, but also it's like, no, all these people are going out and having the same experience I am, and I'm happy for them. Like, good for you. Go out and do it. Experience this place. But for me, this trail, and Haystack being the holy grail for me, it's like hiking back like 20, 30 years ago. It's barely used. It's moss everywhere. You see more deer tracks than human tracks. So we went through, we got into there, we went up that trail. We hit Basin first, and then on to Haystack, and it's everything I dreamed of, hitting over Little Haystack. And they were down, the person who brought us through their boats, they have the camp on the Upper Ausable, and they can, where their Upper Ausable is, they can see the top. So they had binoculars, and we had a radio. We were waving to them, and they were congratulating us, because both Rhiannon and I, this was me actually completing the 46. Even though, like I said, I've done most of them 4 or 5 times, this was the one I hadn't done. So we got to the top, and we brought a bottle of champagne. And there were, at the time we met my friend Katie Tyler. She's I don't know. She's a caretaker, so she's in at Johns Brook Lodge in the summer, and then she caretakes for them, and then she's also the caretaker for Colden in the winter. And it happened to be that she was up at Snowbird